Alrighty, good stuff. Thank you so much, as always, Tiffany, for rescuing me from that particular ignominy. Okay, so what are we doing, people? It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, and I really just wanted to hack on some code. I want to make. Let me close some stuff out here. Why do I have two of these things? Whatever. I wanted to make. Wait, I guess this one I can quit. Okay, I wanted to see if I could get Spring Cloud Gateway working with Spring Native. So, obviously the natural first step is start that Spring.io, and I'm just going to call this Gateway. I'm going to bring in the Spring Native support and the Spring Cloud Gateway support. I'm going to hit enter, and we're going to see that it needs to be closed. Okay. CD downloads UAO gateway.zip. My goal here is just to make Spring Cloud Gateway work with Spring Native. Now, Spring Cloud Gateway, I've discovered, actually does most of the way work with Spring Native, but not all the way. So today I'm just going to start hacking on that, and we'll see if we can make progress. I've only got like 40, 55, 60 minutes, whatever. What is happening here? What the? Did they update IntelliJ on me since yesterday? All right, what's new in IntelliJ? Good gravy. I don't remember seeing one of these before. The whole what's new thing. That's a neat, it's the worst time to look at it, surely, but since it's here. Huh. They do a lot of new stuff every single release. That's impressive. Wouldn't it be a shame? Like, here's the thing: whenever I upgrade to the new versions of IntelliJ, I'm always interested in like one or two particular features, and I don't even get a chance to just soak up all the other stuff because I don't know about most of them, right? But having this little manifest is it's pretty nice. Okay, so it is doing all the work right now. Cloud code, good. Alrighty, so here's my public static void main Spring Boot app. Okay, route locator gateway. Route locator builder. rs dot path proxy dot, and this is just a Spring Cloud Gateway app, so I don't want to spend too long looking at just Spring Cloud Gateway. Actually, I think we've done that on one of these shows before, but suffice it to say, this is an API gateway, and the idea is that you can provide route definitions. You can provide more than one, of course. I'm just defining the one here, but you say, I want to match incoming requests at /proxy, and they might have 0 or more filters, and I can configure those filters here to do things like set the path, right? So when somebody goes to proxy, I want to actually strip away /proxy, because otherwise the request would be sent unadulterated to just that. And you know what? Actually, let's keep it simple. Let's see if we can make that work. That's actually just a straight proxy. Request comes in, I forward it on to start.spring.io. All right, so that should do. Okay, there's this. And I think that'll work. Let's just run it and see what we get. Okay, up and running. Localhost. Well, clearly it worked. It just, oh, that's a cool looking new logo. Curl. All right, so I curled localhost 8080, and I got back the ASCII menu that you would get if you curled HTTPS start that Spring. io, right? Same thing. Okay, so that's working. Good. We got a basic gateway. Now let's see if this compiles to a native application using Spring Native. Now, for those of you just joining us, Spring Native is a way to take a GraalVM application, take a Spring Boot application and turn it into a natively compiled GraalVM native image application. And GraalVM is an ahead of time compiler. That is to say, it looks at your code through static analysis and determines what classes you're using, and it throws away everything else, and it takes whatever's left and creates a closed world sort of view of the runtime. And it compiles all that into native machine code, like architecture specific machine code. The benefit is that the applications start up in virtually no time at all, and they have very, very small memory footprints, right? Really good deal. I'm a fan. But the problem is in what I talked to you about earlier, which is that GraalVM throws away everything that's not being used, that it can't determine you're using, right? So when GraalVM starts up, when GraalVM analyzes your code, it looks at the code directly and it looks at what's compiled, and it throws away everything in the JRE and on the class path that isn't being used directly. Well, that's a problem because Java is actually much more like Python and JavaScript and Ruby and whatever than it is C and C++, in that you can actually, with a string, just a string, you can start with a string for a class definition, turn that into bytecode, register the class in the class loader, create new instances of it using reflection without ever having a concrete type. You can actually create proxies out of it without ever having a concrete type, just strings all the way if you want, right? There's nothing quite as simple as just eval, but basically you could, right? With the magic of ByteBuddy and CDlib and that kind of stuff, so you can actually very easily create your own eval function in Java. And because you can do that, there's a lot of stuff that happens in Java after the application is started, usually in the startup sequence, but still after it's been compiled. That means that your GraalVM compiler is not going to see it. So you need to provide lots of extra clues, and we call these hints, to the GraalVM compiler to tell it not to throw certain things away, because even though it's not being used directly in the bytecode at compile time, it will surely be used at some point very soon when the application starts. So you need to keep that around. So Spring Native does that. Spring Native is a compile time tool. It sits there and it contributes all this configuration to the GraalVM compiler to keep certain things, and it works. It's still very early days yet; it's still beta, but it works very well. That said, it has some gaps, as we'll see. So let's package this and see what this gives us. Actually, I think I can skip a little bit here. GitHub, Spring Projects Experimental, Spring Native, Issues, and what did I say? Gateway. Yeah. Lots of interesting. So back in June of last year, so we're already more than a year since this issue, I asked about making Spring and Spring Cloud Gateway work better together. And the story wasn't nearly so refined as it is now. I tried this little thing that we're doing right now a few days ago. This thing I know I can get to work by just adding this, right? So let's try that. I want you to see the error so we can kind of understand what's about to happen. The only problem with this is that it's really bad, really bad television, and it's just takes forever, and we don't have the result we want. Come on. You can't really see it or hear it, but my computer fan is, on fire. It's like chugging along trying to do this compilation. The problem is that GraalVM, when it does this compilation, it goes through not just your source code, but all the other class files in the class path, every single one of them. And it has to like do analysis on that, right? So it's compiling everything, not just your source code. It's compiling every class file and either analyzing that it doesn't need to be there or turning it into native code, right? So it's like recompiling world each time. Okay, what did we do wrong? Well, okay, you can see the tests failed. And the reason is because we failed to instantiate org Spring Framework Cloud Gateway Handler Predicate Path Route Predicate Factory $config, no default constructor found. So, you saw me allude to this path route predicate factory config. All I'm doing is I'm adding a hint using the Spring native annotations, saying that I want GraalVM to keep this type on the class path and to allow full reflective access to it. So with that, let me recompile. I'm going to skip test this time because we won't be able to run it otherwise. We'll have to compile. By default now, when you do that, it compiles the tests and runs the tests inside of a native context. Then it compiles the code and runs that in a native context. But that means you have to wait for native compilation to happen, not once, but twice, which doubles the time it takes to compile. It's not actually all that bad for any one of them, as you just saw. It's just a minute or two, maybe 3 minutes. This time, hopefully, it'll compile without any protest, because we have the hint there. Hello. Nearly. Come on. Naturally, this is one of those things you'd put in your CI pipeline. I wouldn't do this, on every single recompile. Your dev workflow would crawl. All right, there you go. So it's compiled. It took 2 minutes and 35 seconds, which is not great, but such is life. Okay, so there's our application. It's up and running. It seems to have started. Whoops. Start again. There you go. 0.145 seconds. What about curl? Right. So there you go. So that's working. We've got an official GraalVM compiled native image app working just fine. Right. Seems good. I'm happy with that. Are we done? No, not right. Not nearly, because as I've discovered, things get more complicated as soon as you add filters. So let's say I wanted to do set path. Let's go back to just having the wrong path on the incoming predicate, right? We want to match /proxy, but we need to strip away /proxy before we send the request to start.spring.io. So we need to set the path to that, right? This is going to create a problem for us. Okay. So we're going to recompile with just that one path. And the problem is that it's going to fail because it involves filters. And that does basically the issue we're experiencing here is that Spring Cloud Gateway has some stuff that's like a lot of the APIs in Spring are pretty direct, right? If the Spring Java configuration is creating it, then it works just fine, right? Because Spring Native will know what to do because it's just Java configuration, and that's all you need. But because Spring Cloud Gateway has this very rich DSL for expressing filters and for expressing routes via YAML, there's a bit of an indirection here. There's two different ways to create the API, to create instances of the objects in the API. And because there's two different ways to do it, there's a bit of indirection, a little bit of that indirection is what's causing us trouble. The compiler can't see that indirection, the GraalVM compiler. So what we need to do is to kind of get ahead of it and see if we can register all the things that might cause trouble for GraalVM. So let's take a look at this thing to see if we can kind of understand what it's doing, okay? So this is a path route predicate factory. It's extending the abstract route predicate factory, and it has a config class, a generic type there called T. And that in turn extends abstract configurable. And that in turn extends configurable, right? And configurable gives us a method we can call, and we can actually see that C is equal to the generic, it's this type, it's this. So remember, the trouble we had was that we didn't understand, and I don't understand why it didn't understand this, because it's right there in the class file, right? It says path route predicate factory.config.class. It didn't know to keep this type. It's a nested type after all. This class here lives, it's a public static inner class, and for some reason GraalVM doesn't see that. So my thinking, and I could be wrong, again, we're going to hack and see if we can make it work, but my thinking is that if we were to somehow just find all of the configurable classes, all the subtypes of this, and then extract their generic type, see, look at that. That's the same issue again, right? And again, I know how to fix this, right? We can go here and we can add that or blah, 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 config. That would work, right? It would work. But the problem is this is super fragile. It's brittle. Every single time we add a new filter or something, we have to remember to add this to our config. And I don't want every user who's ever used Spring Cloud Gateway to have to figure this out one by one, right? This is going to be just a tire fire. I don't want to do that. I don't want you to do that. I don't think anybody should do that. So instead, what I'm proposing is, I think we could probably just go find all the configurables, find their subclasses, and then find those subclasses, and then find those subclasses, etc. on down the line, and then find out what C is, right? I think you can ask via the type system what the generic type for these things are, and just proactively register all of them. There's not that many. There's like, look, predicate. Actually, here, let me try that this way. What's the easiest way to do that? Predicate factory, configurable, Command Alt B. Right, looks like that would be everything. We can just manually register all this, actually, instead of me doing something cute where I'm using reflection. I wonder if I could just get all of these, right? So, yeah, could we? Should we? Okay, time to Stack Overflow this. So, how to find all subclasses reflectively in Java. Okay, that's all we need to do. Okay. Okay, so let's just cheat a little bit here. Let's just see if we can get ourselves to a happy spot. Forget about Spring for a second. Let's just write some reflection code and see if we can get this to work. Okay, so I've commented out the Spring Boot stuff. So this is just public static void main, right? And public static void main, I'm going to search for all the subtypes of a particular type. So this type is configurable. Oops. .class. And I want to find the candidate components. What is this bit right here? Base package. Okay, so org Spring Framework Cloud Gateway, surely, right? I don't think it's any further. I don't think there's any other types there. So all right, so there's that. Let's see what that gives us. First of all, I mean, let's. So system out found component dot get bean class name. Alrighty. Okay, that does work. That's amazing. Okay, cool. So, look at that. That is nice. That's all the classes. So if that's the classes, then we also want to find the config files, don't we? So that's gonna do a lot more. Let's just see if this works. Like class name dot get name. Okay. Yeah, that works, and it didn't blow up, so I can reflectively load it. This is all runtime, obviously, I know that, but as a first start, what I want to do is just at runtime collect all the information I need, and then use that to code generate the hints for this. Let's just put this all together and see if that makes it so that we can compile almost everything without any issues. Okay, I don't know. I have no idea. I've never done this before, but we still need to get the generic type. So the next question then is, how do we get the generic type of these classes, right? So get generic parameter types, Java, sure. Okay. Okay. Does this help us? Let's see. So I have no idea what the generic type is. I don't actually even care. Just want, given a class, I want the generic superclass get actual target. Okay, so is this correct? Okay, let's see. Oh, prioritized type is what? No, it doesn't. I don't need that. Oh. Okay, so we need to like try. Okay, E dot or class, right? So class. Okay. Oh, okay, wait. So there's a lot of noise there. Let's just remove all this just to see where we're getting issues, right? and what the pattern is. Oh, well, that's not good. Looks like all the final concrete. Oh, these are conditions. I don't care about conditionals. But what about this? These are the concrete final classes. So what I want to do is resolve any generics in the base, I guess. It's fine, right? So let's say now set of class classes to register new hash set. Whoa. All right, so classes to register dot add class. Okay, this is a set, so it should be unique. Right? Okay, good. And then if we manage to get this generic type, let me say classes to register dot add generic type. System error. Okay. And then here we've got the generic type. So let's run that and see what we get. Found get name. Okay. That looks okay, right? That's not bad. So we want to say there's obviously some in there that I don't care about, like stream.filter class dot.get name contains Java lang object. We don't want that, obviously. Okay. Okay, looks like we're on the right track. Okay, so we've got that now. What is this? Oh, I'm still inside the loop. No wonder that's iterating over so many records. Okay, so if that's working, then I guess we just want to create a string that looks like this, right? So we can say map each class into class.getName. I'm going to include that, and then for each, I'll do .collect joining, right, like that. So var hints equals hints. All right, good stuff. Okay. Did we just cheat? Yeah, we did. But let's see if it works. I don't know if it'll work. Might work. So we know these two worked, but we don't need them. They should be redundant, right? So, oh, I wish I put new lines. Let me just rerun that. I don't want to rerun that. Okay. Joining. Okay, so one of these, and space, and system.line separator. Okay. Cool. Okay. And that hint goes up here. Neat. Okay. There it is. There's the entire thing. So okay, that seems like it'll work. Let me just restore Spring Boot, and all of this I'm going to keep outside here. Static private void discover configurable subclasses. Okay, and then the class that we're looking for, I want to put this throw the exception. Okay, and we want to have types of class package haystack. Okay, so needle, and then here's my haystack. Okay. Configurable.class haystack. Okay, there you go. So that's how I would use that. I don't want it right now. I'm not sure if I need it. I think I'm okay. Moving on. Let's see. So do we have everything we need here? I think we do. What were the original two? Well, we'll just find out. Let's just compile this and see if that gives us something. Okay. 2.5 minutes. And if that works, then obviously this isn't ideal, right? Because it's still hard coded, and as soon as the good folks on the Spring Cloud Gateway team add another type, we're going to get into trouble, right? This isn't going to work anymore. So yeah, we need to fix it. But I just want to see if that actually gets me further. Let's try some interesting stuff here with the gateway stuff, and if that works, then I feel like we have a winning strategy. And then I'm going to turn this into a thing that actually looks for configuration using the Spring native type system, right? The type system that's available at compile time. It's not the Java Lang reflect type system. It's more of it's an API that the Spring team created to give you a meta model about the types that are in the build. But it's not actually the Java Lang reflect one. But we're going to do the same basic trick. We're going to find all the classes. Totally different algorithm, totally different approach, but we're going to find all the classes that are subclasses of configurable, and we'll register them programmatically. We'll contribute GraalVM hints at dynamically based on that logic. Although I don't know if we're going to be able to finish that today, but you get the idea. Okay, nearly. So remember, this time we've got a filter and the basic logic. So we have to hopefully set path is in there somewhere. Set request host. Okay. Is that it? Set path. That's probably the one. And I don't know, but if I register a hint for the .config, do I really need a separate one for the parent? I mean, it should be, you would need, one doesn't exist without the other. Is that true? Yeah, see, maybe that's redundant. Maybe I could do better. This is definitely a sledgehammer when all I needed was a little. Okay, start it up. Let's see. Oh. Why? Oh, proxy. Yes, that's so cool. Okay, so yeah, okay, that's cool. We got something. It's good to have something, right? Let's document this in case I accidentally lose my work here. You want me to log in here? I think you're crazy. There you go. So I'm going to just leave that there as a note for myself. Okay, so now we have at least we have something, right? It's not, I'm not saying it's pretty, but it works. So that's a start. I guess worst case, as a minimum, I could just send a pull request with just this as a hint, or somebody else could, but better yet, let's see if we can make this work properly, right? We've got it to work, my trivial test case. This is obviously a joke, but I mean, I'd be keen to see, what if I add a response header, HTTP headers, dots, access control, allow origin, etc., right? So just adding headers. I don't know if any of these are particularly complicated now that we've got those types there. I'm going to let that compile in the background. In the meantime, I'm going to go create a new project, and that project is going to be gateway hints, because now I want to use the meta model that I was talking to you about before. We'll bring in Spring Cloud Gateway hints, UAO gateway hints.zip. Alrighty. Okay. So the goal here is I'm trying to write not a Spring Boot app, but a set of hints that'll get fed into GraalVM as part of the Spring native compilation. So for that to work, this has to just be a jar. Okay. All right, now we need Spring AOT. Okay, Maven recompile, reload. Before I forget, because I always forget, I'm going to copy and paste this, go back to my build over here. And I have to add that to the class path, not of the regular build, but of the compiler, of the AOT Maven plugin, basically the thing that generates the hints. Yeah, if I can only find it. Here we go. Okay, so here, dependencies. We are, whoop. All right, there's this. Looks like it's about to finish compilation as well. Let's check that out. I'm just keen to see if it worked. Like, I'm pretty sure it worked. I'm pretty sure I saw the types that are required to make that trivial example work. But on the other hand, if my this is driven entirely by the automatic reflection that we did. So that's my basic algorithm. I'm going to do it a different way at compile time than I did at runtime with the reflection code there. But basically, if the algorithm is sound, then it should still work, right? And if it doesn't work, that'll be very interesting. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, not good, not good. Okay, so abstract name value. Why did that not work? Okay. Well, first things first, we know that has to go in there. All right, but the question is, why didn't that work? Config. Oh. Did that not show up in any of the okay. It's configurable, surely. Oh, craziness. Okay, so that means it's abstract. Does that mean my discovery logic earlier doesn't find the abstract ones? Find candidate. New assignable type. Needle. Why didn't it find that? I wonder. So that won't work. Here, I was so excited to go off and turn this into native code. Okay, so this is going to say, find a target type, consider inherited, consider interface is true. Yeah. Okay. But surely there's other abstract. I mean, what results did I come back with anyway? Is anything else? This looks abstract, surely. Yeah. What the? Did I just miss it? Let me run this program again. How is that not there? It's in. Okay, so we'll just run this one more time. Here. Okay. See what that gives us. Huh? That's a new bug, isn't it? How did I I don't understand what I've done differently here. Needle. Haystack. Right? Where did you even get that? I don't, how is this anything related to that? Authentication. Mhm. What just happened? I printed it out and now the bug's gone. Okay, there's ghosts. Let's just comment out this bit right here. Restart. Okay, so it's happy again. The question is, why? Whatever, I don't care right now. Reflection is weird. So abstract. It's only one abstract in the entire lot. That is bizarre. Yeah. So what is so special about the one? I mean, is that like a special case? Why is it a special case? That's the thing. That's the real, weird bit right here. Public, it's abstract. Extends abstract gateway filter factory. Abstract name value. Abstract name value gateway filter factory. Name value config. Is this here? Anywhere? Only one result. Okay. That is so bizarre. Okay, so abstract gateway filter factory, C. It has a config, okay, so it extends abstract configurable of C. Abstract configurable implements configurable of C. So it's the same pattern. We've seen this before. What is the deal? Is it just my reflection logic is faulty somehow? I mean, clearly, I just don't know why. So maybe this is like attempt number one. But we need something different. So let's try another one. Okay. Good. Code's getting a little messy, but I just want something that'll work first. Sketch. So let's try some of these other approaches. Maybe there's something I missed here. It's good old Stack Overflow, my trusty friend. Oh, friends, but it looks like I gotta go actually. I just realized we've got but 2 minutes, so I'm gonna add org reflections. Let's see what that gets me, huh? I've got to go give a presentation to a Java user group here in a minute. So Maven, reload project. Goodbye, goodbye. Okay. All right, so what about this? Here's my new one. Okay, so we want some type configurable. And it's just going to be configurable, right? So what does that give me? Sure. So for var class subtypes get name. Let's just see what that gets me, huh? Oh, we need a packet. This is okay. That looks sane. And here, okay, take 3. Hey, cool. Did that have the abstract one? So we go over here. Okay. Debug. Well, yeah, there it is. Look at that abstract name value. Okay, so that seems like a better solution. I'll pursue it later. I gotta go. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Be good. Talk to you, I don't know, next week or whenever the next one is. By the way, go check out spring.io/video right now. There's a new video on Redis, Spring Tips video I just put up today, August, Wednesday, the 4th of August. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.